until we actually get Mr. Powell speaking at the Jackson Hole conference. There are a couple data points coming out of Europe overnight. We've been noticing that the euro has been working its way lower. It did flash a little bit of an Uber buy signal this morning. But I don't know. Ahead of that minutes release, I was a little bit jaundiced about that, and then I noticed that Uber buy disappeared. So I'm not overly impressed with the fundamentals out of Europe right now, so I'm not too excited about taking too long shots on the euro right now, but we'll see how it goes. Long and short of it here for our conversation today. US dollar index sitting basically up in this wick now. We talked a little bit about trade location for those people interested in shorting. But, as we've said repeatedly here, we've got basically higher highs and higher lows. It's very, very difficult for me to even think about hunting a short here. But we'll see how it goes. Fed minutes, like I said, coming out in about 45 minutes. Yet another example of triangles, consolidations in the market. You can see stocks are wedging out here on the anticipation of the release of those Fed minutes. My hunch, for whatever it's worth, was my market came down and tested value low. You can see, of course, that was a reload zone off of this range, ratcheted right back. It looks to me like we're ABCDing. Also notice too, there's a cheeky little gap on the S&P futures. Gaps on futures don't like to be left open, so my hunch is test of value high, fill in the profile a bit up top here, and complete this very quick little AB equals CD. Boom, boom. Let's see if I can just quickly do this. I'm so fearful for the bling, because when the bling comes, I got to move on. So yeah, you can see how this AB equals CD is going to take us up, fill in that gap, and then I don't know whether we have to come up all the way up to value high, but you can see this wick up here. There's lots of trap bulls up here that would love nothing more than to get released. On the flip side, again, yet another example of triangle consolidations, the gold market, and this was such a good example of these diamonds. You can see the diamond here as it's playing itself out. Reload zone short to reload zone long. Julian's actually going to be on the baby powder report tomorrow, so we'll see what his report has for us. But I would just simply say that I've been watching, again, all of these, every single market seems to be triangling out here. Gold's no exception. Interesting on gold, we actually have a triangle within a triangle. And then there's that bigger diamond conversation. So let's keep a close eye on the gold market, especially through these FOMC minute meeting release. And of course, what a fantastic trade down there in that little reload zone within the bigger reload zone. Me and Brian loves RLZs within RLZs. Moving on, because I heard another bling. Toot my own horn. I was exceedingly pleased to see that on yesterday's spike up into, and actually I won't redraw it. We'll just quickly zip over here to save time. AB equals CDs, boom, boom. What was the ultimate low? Boom, boom. Basically hit that ABCD objective. I got my free position on Sonos booked. I've got, there's one call, but I booked a nice 20-30%. Yesterday in the video, I talked about how the market makers were kind of messing around with me, and I didn't get my fill at 250. I did get my fill on the close yesterday morning, and interestingly enough, the stock actually moved a little bit higher into that AB equals CD objective, but what's interesting, and this is why it's so critical to have your open orders working on these, you notice that basically on that event, boom, the market came off. And now I heard through Daily Brief today, people were saying the bid on this thing's like 220, 215 area. So a really good testament. Make damn sure that if you are going to be trading these, you trade. You have your open orders working. We'll even look at an altcoin earlier this morning that was exactly the same sort of scenario. But toot my own horn, toot toot. Way to go, Brian. Nice fill, good trade, risk-free position going forward now on this thing. I don't know where it's going to go, but I have zero risk on this trade. And you know Brian, he loves to bang out those doubles. Moving on. Obviously, can't have a conversation here on the Daily Brief without a good old look at the corn. Interesting to see that just like every other market, the corn is also working a big triangle consolidation. This is a fascinating level in here on so many fronts. And I spent a few minutes talking in the Daily Brief here today about Mr. Gann. And I've talked a little bit about this with the public, but just such a great analogy of him. Market dumps, took 54 bars. How long is it going to take to hit that 50% level? It should be about half of what that was. And sure enough, within 1 bar, it basically hit that 50% objective. So on that event, all right, what would be a 50% retracement of this range? It should take about 13 bars. Interesting that, overnight last night we dumped hard into this level, but that actually had, a few bars remaining on it. So I actually postulated with the community that I didn't think price was going to do a heck of a lot until we actually got to this 13th bar. So you can see we actually exceeded it, and we've talked recently about this. I showed you on the S&Ps and the NASDAQ. What a sick trade level. Reload zones, candle body lows, and right on this trend line, a dip against it. And notice how the market has been playing around with some weak hands here. Anybody who tried to zip in and couldn't handle this kind of risk on the trade, they're getting stopped out just on really quick setups. But notice how the market's ratcheting right back to 50% roll. So through the Daily Brief today, I sort of conjectured that if we do yet another 50% retracement, odds are we probably have to work up into 10,400 area here on Bitcoin, probably through this window right here. But also, too, I think really important, things are really compressing. We're getting close to some sort of apex of this whole Gann study. And my hunch is, whatever this is, I think we said, and interesting how this is heading right into the weekend. Basically, Friday, right on the close sort of like 5 p.m., sort of heading into the afternoon, evening, we're going to see some sort of resolution of this entire Gann study. So be prepared. Watch out for fireworks. My hunch is something big is coming down the pike right on that event there. We'll finish off today's quick review with just a quick boo at altcoins. We had actually a real special treat today. Totally didn't expect it, but Colin from Bravado Trading, who's also was an integral part of the TRI meetup, and of course is a student in our education program, came in and talked to us a little bit about Bitcoin dominance, potentially breaking down here. We're at an interesting level on the dominance. So it's funny how this index sometimes waffles out. But interesting level here on the dominance. If we just draw just a simple trend line off of these kind of levels, you can see we're coming into something. If Bitcoin does crap out here and break through those lows, we could see a substantial sort of revaluation in altcoins. And to a certain degree, it's already starting to happen in some places. Thanks to Colin, I'm going to actually start loading up my altcoin charts and screens and stuff and start looking for opportunities. Here's a great example of a nice reload zone. If we change this to a line chart, holy crap, look at this beautiful W. I mean, it's absolutely textbook. And also another excellent analogy that you better, if you had taken this W, you better make darn sure that you have your open orders working, because, this is crypto and things move in a heartbeat, and you can see big pop, all the pros, if you will, OGs, they're all booking profits and then boom, right back down. Now, whether you trade on Huobi or not, that's another conversation altogether, but I am encouraged, assets versus Bitcoin price. We are starting to see a lot of this kind of performance here. One that sort of jumped out at me when through Colin's presentation is good old PIVX. Look at that W coming in as we speak. So get your altcoin trading hats back on. It looks like we might actually have some opportunities, but remember, this is probably a conversation about, does Bitcoin break down? Tough to say. But I am starting to see some very interesting risk windows coming in here. Very simply put, this is a trader's environment. So I don't think we're in the kind of bull market where little old ladies can just blindly buy and don't worry about it. I do like this idea of a trader's environment. So, down against these lows, probably we're going to pop up into these kind of levels. You'll notice, just drag up your reload zone, study as we go. But this one, interestingly enough, is actually just sitting right at a breakout level. It's just yet another example. And as I said, Colin walked us through a bunch of names that he's interested in right now. It looks like there might actually be a little bit of an altcoin season here after all. So go figure. Okay, why don't we leave it at that for today? I want to really try and keep these within about 10 minutes. So I think that was about 10, 12 minutes. Have yourselves a good morning. All the best, and bye for now.